the rattling of drums and the trumpets' loud sounds, where it sees a safety and his name abounds. From the rattling of drums and the trumpets' loud sounds, where it sees a safety and his name abounds.
Well, Purcell, Londoner through and through, a complete musical genius. We were only blessed with 35 years of his life, and in that time he gave us numerous verse anthems for the church, metaphysical songs, operas, incidental music for plays, fantasias, symphonies, an immense amount of music, and all of it fantastic. For this CD in our Purcell series, I'm concentrating on the welcome songs or birthday odes. So he went through the reigns of Charles II, James II, and William of Orange. Every time the king or queen had a birthday, he had to write them a welcome ode. Every time they came back from the summer sojourn at Windsor, back to London, there was a welcome song written for them. What for me is fascinating with these welcome odes is that within this poetry and within the music, particularly the music that Purcell writes, a lot of in-jokes. The poet and Purcell have to, hype it up for the king to make him look phenomenal and fantastic. He then calls on his incredible writing for strings to sort of take over. There are lots of in-jokes within them and lots of fun that a king wouldn't notice at all, and I find it brilliant.
I mean, I suspect he might have had quite a sense of humour. Definitely there are moments where you can kind of have a bit of a twinkle in your eye and slightly cocked eyebrow, I think.
It's in the welcome song, "Sound the trumpet, beat the drum." There's not a trumpet or a drum in sight in the scoring. It's all for strings. Yet he makes mention in the poetry of Shaws. Now, the brothers Shaw were famous, celebrated trumpeters at the time, and it's clearly a reference to them. And of course, they're not playing.
Caesar and Urania come, Caesar and Urania come.
The other thing with the CDs, I'm including some metaphysical songs, maybe some verse anthems, some solo songs, and some catches. Now the catches are fantastic. He wrote well over 50 catches, most of them pretty bawdy, a lot of them very political. Where these catches were sung, they'd been sung in the taverns, they'd have been sung in the back rooms of the court. They were fun. And the interesting thing with them, they're all for the tenor voice, so they're quite high. That for me is quite interesting because that's the common voice. You go to a football terrace or a rugby game and you hear the singing, and the singing is amazing, and all these men can sing like a tenor. It's good. We're performing it with a chamber group, so it's only 8 singers, 2 each of soprano, alto, tenor, bass. So we really see on the disc what Purcell is capable of, and this immense variety of music making. Because after all, this is what Purcell was great at. He was great at writing for the English language. For most of these welcome odes, it's just strings and an even balance of strings. So it's 3 first violins, 3 seconds, 3 violas, and 3 bass violins. So there's no actual double bass, and that was the format of the court orchestra at the time. That they were known as the 24 violins, based very much on the French idea. You can imagine that sort of even texture, that sonorous sound.
Working with the 16 is really unique. I think the rapport between Harry and the choir is amazing, and there's such fantastic give and take, and they just create the most open and honest and rich sort of music making. Then in the strings, we just try to emulate that, and Harry is fantastic to work for because he creates freedom within the playing, which is actually quite unique.
When you see the orchestra and choir performing it, they're just smiling the whole time. This is just fantastic music. We have such great fun recording this music, and we feel very privileged, really.